Right, so good morning. I'm Dave Coplin. I am the Chief Envisioning Officer for Microsoft and for Bing specifically. And I know what all of you are thinking, that he probably made that job title up. And you're absolutely correct, I did. I just need to check that that's on. There we go. Made up the job title for a couple of important reasons. Number one, I have a job about the future. And one of the things that Microsoft loves to do is we love to talk about technology and products. What we don't do enough is talk about the people that use those products. So we created this platform called Envisioning. We created this story about the future which focuses on human beings. It talks about what people do, what we think people are going to do, whether it's how they will be as consumers, what they do in the world of work. And then the second reason for creating the job title is because I told my mum when I was a little boy, I said, Mum, one day I'm going to be CEO at Microsoft. You just watch me. And frankly, this is the only bloody way I'm going to pull that off. So, disclaimers, you'll realise, long-haired, beard, it's a bit of a giveaway, quite like Star Trek 2. I'll be your token technology guy for the day. So, this is about the future. I would love to say that there are lots of answers about the future. Actually, there are no answers here. I used to be an IT consultant, so you know you never give away answers. If I've done my job, I will leave you with more questions about the future. Hopefully, we can go through some of this stuff and we can have a conversation. So the first thing I want to do, this is the only boring IT-looking slide, is I want to try and remind you about the kind of world that we live in. And I also want to give you a window into where we think, no pun in, actually, there was a pun intended. You see what I did? That's good, isn't it? A window, and we're sat in an office. Very good. You see why they pay me now, right? I work for Microsoft. Very good. So we're used to using the internet in a certain way, right? So we're used to using search as the gateway, and we still, to a certain extent, think about the internet and the web in particular as a collection of documents about websites, about pages and HTML links and all that stuff. In reality, it's something very, very different. At Microsoft, we think about the web in three different domains. We think about a web of things, a web of people, and a web of places. I'm going to go through each one of those in turn. And when you think about the web in those terms, something wonderful happens. You move away from the World Wide Web, which is a place where you have to go to lots of individual websites to get the stuff that you need to get done. So you have to go for different places. You have to make it all happen. The web of the world understands who you are, understands where you are, understands what you're trying to do, and brings that, stitches that experience together. And so we spend a lot of time thinking about the web of the world, and one of the things you're going to see from Microsoft, certainly coming up in terms of Bing is our proposition about how we deliver the value that the internet offers a modern society. You're going to see Bing be the golden thread right across every product that we have, whether it's phone, it's Xbox, Windows, even some of our competitor platforms, iOS and Android. Because Bing is the window into the other world, right? It's the thing that's the user interface for the internet. And it's powered by some really important technology trends. I'm only going to talk about two of these, but just to give you a sense of what's going on. So number one is understand this concept about search being the gateway. Search used to be a place where you answered questions. Tell me about the migration habits of the southern African swallow, for a random example. Increasingly, it's a place that you go to try and bring together information to help you make decisions. We think less about finding when we talk about search. We think more about doing. So no, don't just tell me about the location I'm interested in going on vacation on. Help me book flights there. Help me get a hotel room. Tell me what's going on in that place. That whole experience comes together. So again, thinking about search as a user interface rather than just a way in which you answer questions. And then there's this thing, the web of knowledge, right? And we're used to this, right? Because the internet is this collection of everything our society knows. Every single fact, every opinion, every story is there for us all to find on the internet. And the challenge is stitching all of that experience together, bringing all of that together in the context, and us being smart enough to know what to do it. Who would have thought 10, 15 years ago when we were telling everybody about how wonderful the web was going to be, and it's brilliant, going to bring you all of this incredible knowledge, that the pinnacle of our achievement would have been a text-based database called Wikipedia, curated by amateurs and enthusiasts. But it is there, right? There for everybody to see is pretty much the sum of our entire knowledge as a society. Now, there are lots of good things and bad things about Wikipedia, but if we could harness that, if we could make really effective use of all of the knowledge that exists, we could change our experiences. And then there's the web of people, and the thing is, we deal in algorithms, especially in technology companies like Microsoft and Google. We deal in these cold, dark, binary, logical equations about what we think people are trying to do. The truth is that as human beings, we aren't cold, dark, binary, and logical. Certainly not logical. Ask my wife. Hey, there's going to be some mother-in-law jokes coming up as well, I tell you. And the thing about what we found is that you can augment this cold sort of the digital experience with a warm human signal. And one of the things that we've done it in the States, you'll see it maybe come to the UK at some point soon, is we've integrated search results with Facebook, which sounds a bit weird, but let me explain why that's important. So the algo gets you so much of the way. What we found is that if we, with your permission, tap into your Facebook account and see your friends and what they've liked and in terms of the search results that we're giving you, then actually we can change your ability to interpret the results. Let me give you an example. We had this service live in the UK about a year ago, funnily enough, and only for a couple of weeks while we were doing some testing. And I was walking down Victoria Street, and I'm typing in, feeling a bit hungry, typing sushi to my phone, and I get back a bunch of results from Bing, and Bing tells me that there are 10 sushi restaurants near where I'm standing on Victoria Street. But because we've got this social stuff active, it also showed me which of my friends had liked the restaurants that were near me. And it showed me that restaurant number 3 had been liked by my buddy Simon. Now the thing is, he's a real friend, not a normal Facebook friend. I actually know him. We actually went to school together, we grew up together. And the thing I know about Simon is he lives in the East Midlands, where I grew up. And the thing you need to know about the East Midlands is 200 miles from the nearest coastline. The other thing you also need to know about Simon is Simon has never left the East Midlands. He has never travelled, never been around. So I've got a guy who the only thing he knows about raw dead fish, right, is when it's battered and deep fried. And he's telling me that this sushi restaurant's going to be okay. So because I know all of this stuff about this real person, I know that his recommendation is bound to be shit, right? I'm never going to go to that restaurant. It's going to be crap. If it's a fish and chip shop or a kebab shop, we'd be great. We were away. So, but the point is, just by tapping into the social signal, it brings me a little bit of warm humanity, something that I can trust, something that I can say, do you know what? It's not just an algorithm giving me this. There is a human being that can help me make a better decision. So the web of people becomes really, really important about how you bring those things together. And then there's the web of place, and we think about the web of place in a really big scale today. I want you to start to think of it on a much more granular basis. So some of you will have used your mobile devices to find the entrance or find this building today. And that's, that's okay. But when we talk about the web of place, we're talking about several layers down from that. The web of place to me is I want to be able to sit in a wheelchair out on Victoria Street, knowing that I'm trying to get to Brighton on the train. And the web of place is then able to tell me from the position that I'm sat in my wheelchair to the platform I have to get to in Victoria Station, where are the curbs dropped? Which of the 8 doors to Victoria Station is the one that has the access ramp? That level of granular detail about the physical world around me and being able to interpret that and bring that in to build really, really rich services will become incredibly powerful. That's an accessibility example. You can have your own examples in retail. Think about the power of that in whatever you do. So all of these things, the web of knowledge, the web of people, the web of place, comes together to create this concept called the web of the world. And then it becomes massively relevant when it comes down to these things. And these things, there are 2 really important things about these things, and we don't talk about them enough because we're fixated on how the hell we transfer our old world of advertising into a new world of mobile. But the 2 things that as a technologist I want to point out to you is, number 1, these things are inherently personal. Think about it. Your mobile device is logged in to Facebook, to Twitter, to your email. It's got your contacts on it. Unlike computers, who we've called personal computers for 30 years. This thing is truly, truly personal. It's like a digital representation of me, and that's really powerful because it enables us to curate some really, really incredible experiences. But the most important thing that you need to think about these devices is these become our window into the digital world. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, these are the things that enable us to reach out to the digital world, to get information that will change our experience in the analog world. How many of you will have been, we've already heard Paul, he was sat watching the tennis looking at this stuff. How many of you have been in a shop and used one of these things to check a price? These are the beginnings of us doing that. And okay, there's a conversation we could have there about the death of the British high street. Important conversation, not going to have it today. But this is about being able to be anywhere in the world and tap into information that, because this is personal, is relevant to me based on what I'm doing and what I'm about to do. So my example, I quite like World War I military history. Don't know why, something sort of obscene and a bit weird about that war, but I walk down Whitehall maybe 3 days a week. Well, I would love it if my phone, when I'm walking down Whitehall, says, hang on a minute, Dave. You haven't got any appointments for a couple of hours, but come over here, I want to show you something. Takes me over to the cenotaph, pick out a name with a camera, and it starts curating a story, something that's relevant to me based on the context of where I am and what I'm doing. And so in all of this, the window into the digital world, the power of the context, if I understand where you are, what you're doing, I can bring you a much richer experience. And this is why our primary relationship as human beings is shifted to these devices. And and we'll continue to do so. This is a video to demonstrate this kind of principle. We did it last year with guide dogs for the blind. And they came to us because they wanted us to help show what technology could do for people who are visually impaired. We wanted to use it as an example of the web of the world. So here's Bill, he's blind, he's trying to curate a day out for his family. We know he's blind, we know that his son isn't, we know that his father who's going with him is partially sighted. We curate an experience, we bring the web of places. So now we're in the web of place, we can communicate to Bill where the attributes about the physical world around him, where's the edge of the platform, where's the street furniture. He goes into a busy environment. We can help him navigate his world because we know where he is and we know that environment, and we can bring all of that to him in the context of what he's trying to do. So, and then the next thing you'll see, and this video goes on a bit, but you'll see is he's in the Natural History Museum, he's looking around, he's navigating, but also we can curate experiences for him. So he's looking at an exhibit. We're bringing him information not just about the exhibit, but stuff that his friends have said about the exhibit when they were there. So again, bringing the web of place, the web of knowledge, and the web of people all together to create an incredible personal experience that is within the context of what the individual is trying to do. It's massively, absolutely relevant to what they're doing at any one point in time. This is the future for us. This is like 5 to 10 years away, but this is the trajectory. So when you think about the campaigns that you're planning, when you think about your clients and how you want to build these incredible digital experiences, what are you going to do to bring the web of knowledge, the web of place, and the web of people all together? And then there's something else that I want to talk to. As a technologist, it's my duty to insert a slide with the words big data on for every presentation I make. You know, I don't have to say anything about it, it's just because we have to, it's the law. But actually, there is something wonderful going on with big data that you really need to get your heads around. And this is not so much about big data itself. It's about the tools that are increasingly using that data. In particular, there's a thing called machine learning, which is the automated interrogation of data. This is algorithms looking at all of these different data sets and being able to do incredible things. These services will change your lives, fundamentally change your lives. And we're seeing examples, early examples of them today. This is my favorite one because it's a personal experience. The Bing Translator. Some of you will have used Translator, live real-time translator services on your phone. We have one that's powered by Bing, and it just means that wherever you are in the world, you can speak to your phone, you can have it speak to you, you can have it do optical character recognition on text in front of you, and it will translate into any languages, even Klingon. Don't ask me why. Yeah, all right, it might be right. So my experience, I've got a 7-year-old son. He has a nut allergy, one of those nasty nut allergies that normally ends up with a white van and 2 blue flashing lights. And I went to on holiday in Spain last year, my wife and my son. And unfortunately, I don't speak any Spanish, but I speak 2 words, and beer and scorchio, and that's pretty much the limit. But thanks to the Bing Translator and big data, machine learning, and mobile devices, I never, ever went to a Spanish hospital, which, if you're a parent, is kind of like a massive result if you're on holiday. But it means that I could go into a supermarket and I could pick up a packet of biscuits. I hold my phone, it looks at the ingredients, it tells me whether there's nuts in there. I go into a restaurant, I can speak to my phone. My son has a nut allergy. It then speaks Spanish to the waiter or waitress. I can look at the menu, does the whole translation. This stuff is incredibly powerful. Last Christmas, we demonstrated live, real-time voice translation. So a gentleman, our head of research, Rick Rashid, was stood on stage addressing an audience in China, a Cantonese audience. He's speaking English, and the algorithm is real-time translating into Cantonese. So go forward a few years, and my provocation to you is, why would anybody bother to learn a foreign language? Right? I mean, that's where we're going in this. And I get that that's really provocative and probably too far. But if you think about the debate that we had as a society probably 25, 30 years ago, when pocket calculators first became really cheaply available, we had a big debate in terms of the education. You know, what are we going to teach kids? We can't allow them to use calculators? Well, shit, I went to school using logbooks and slide rules. Yes, I am that old. Because I know I don't look it, right? Obviously. That's what you're supposed to say. Jesus. Right? And I tell you, I'm a better mathematician with a calculator than I ever was with a logbook. But it enables me to do more, it enables me to get further. Yes, I need to know the basics, I need to understand the basic parameters, but the machine, the power of things like big data and machine learning provide us this capability. This is really going to change the way we think about the world around us, and language translation is just but one example. But there are some things that are going to get in our way, and the first thing that really will get in our way for a long time is privacy, and privacy is hugely, hugely important and hugely complicated. The problem with privacy is that you all have a different definition about what privacy means to you. It's not like companies like Google and Facebook and Microsoft, we can just say, look, there's a line, anything above the line is public, anything below the line is private, because your line is different, and your line changes depending on the context of what you're doing at any given point in time. And so that's a real challenge for us, and it means the only way forward is we have to be transparent about what we're doing with your data. It also means we have to give you control. The problem is when we give you control, we end up in a place where poor old Zuckerberg is, which is you've now got 500 bloody settings to figure out how private you want to be. And nobody in their right mind is really going to make sense of all of this stuff. So this is a journey we're on as a society. But also, the thing we have to understand is that as human beings, our expectations of privacy constantly evolve. They constantly change. I'll give you two examples, one made up, one real. If I go into my local pub, when I go home tonight, I'll walk in through the door, the landlord will look up, all right, Dave, your usual. Now, because I'm a bloke, I will show no external emotion or that kind of recognition. But inside, I'm like, yeah, 20 years, night after night, going into my local pub. I have a tattered relationship. Wife and son never see me, but my landlord knows what I like to drink. I have, as a male in British society, I have arrived. So why is it then, if I go to a pub, around here that I've never been to, and when I walk in through the door, the landlord looks up and goes, all right, Dave, your usual. Why do I freak out? Well, my God, I've been violated. How dare you? Who told you? Oh, my God, that's terrible. Only because my expectation was that that wouldn't happen. What if it was different? What if there was a website, makeminealocalpint.com, I've registered the URL, you never know, and I upload my photo, here's what I like to drink, Marston's Pedigree, in case anybody's buying, right? Landlords of the country, avail me of your service. It's a completely different setup then, because now my expectation is that I'm going to have that service wherever I go. And when you think about it, landlords have as much right to offer that level of personalization as any other landlord, so why wouldn't we do that? So this is an example of how privacy evolves. We do this, it happens to us every day. The real example is some of you may remember when you first got caller ID on your landline phones. And if you remember that experience, I remember mine, it was like, you what? My number? It's displayed whoever I phone? I don't bloody think so. It's a terrible invasion of my privacy. Fast forward to today, of course, what happens? I'll go home tonight, phone will ring. First thing I'll do is look at that number. Right? If I don't recognize, I'm not fucking answering that. Now it's valuable to me. I'm okay with a privacy violation. That's brilliant, right? And so we have to understand, again, so the challenge for us is that we've really got to understand what privacy means. We've got to allow people, we've got to give people control. We've got to put them in a position. Because where I want to go, think about some of the examples I talked to you in terms of mobile. I want to know where you are. I want to know who you're with. Not explicitly, but give me an idea of whether there are other people with you, because it will change the experience. I want to know what you're going to do next. I want to know what you've done in the past. I want to use all of that information to serve you an incredibly relevant, valuable, personalized experience. But I can't get there unless you trust me. I can't get there unless we're in a place where there is a world of trust. And this is our big problem, specifically in this country, but pretty much globally, is that we never debate this. We never talk about what privacy means to us. We think we do, but the debate we have is often a technological one rather than a sociological one. My favorite example is pretty much any time of year you will see a headline in most of the newspapers about Facebook causes cyberbullying. Well, no, it doesn't. Shit people cause cyberbullying. Facebook just makes it easier. Facebook just makes it happen on a bigger scale. But fundamentally, it's a sociological issue, not a technological issue. But where is all the debate? Oh, we should switch Facebook off. We should turn that nasty Facebook off. Or, we pick on any of the social networking platforms for that kind of example. But my challenge to you is to get involved in that privacy conversation. Think about what privacy means to you. Think about when you're running campaigns about the individuals, the consumers that you're trying to reach and what you can do. So moving forward, there are some happier things that you can think about, but there are also some barriers that we have to get through. Number one, you have to understand that human beings suck at change. We find change really, really hard. The best example I can give you is found underneath your fingertips almost every single day, and it's the QWERTY keyboard layout. Does anybody know how old that design is? Want to take a guess? 100 years. 100 years. 142 years old, that design. And anybody know why it was created? One of the things I love about this story is it's got the historical scientific community split. There are, in fact, two creation myths for the QWERTY keyboard design. Number one is that in the days of mechanical typewriters, if the typists were too quick, the heads would jam, the machine would break, and they would lose productivity until that machine could be fixed. Along comes Mr. QWERTY, not his real name. He invents this keyboard design. He mixes up all the letters, so actually you can never get beyond a certain speed. It's designed to really cap the speed that you can type at so that you never have that head jam. Creation myth number one. Creation myth number two, similar thing, right? You've got Morse code operators, radio operators, who keep making lots and lots of mistakes. So along comes Mr. QWERTY, not his real name, and he mixes up all of the letters. So the operators have to be really mindful about which key they're pressing in order to get the message correct. Well, it doesn't matter which one of those creation myths that you buy. The point is that 142 years later, we are using as our single primary, most important method of input to technology, a design that is not only 142 years old. Either side of those stories, it was designed, its sole design premise was to be suboptimal. It was designed to be crap. Right? That's why it exists. So first of all, so why are we doing that? 80 years ago, along comes Mr. Dvorak, right? And that was his real name, and he creates a new keyboard layout called the Dvorak keyboard layout. And unlike QWERTY, this is built for speed. You can type 400 of the English language's most common words without ever leaving the home row, the sort of the first row of letters. Its operational efficiency is registered at 73%. QWERTY is 30%. We never change because we suck at change. We find change really hard. My fear as a technologist is if you guys only ever use technology the same way you've always used technology, then all of the stuff that we do, all of the advances, all of the gesture, the voice recognition, the touch, all of that stuff, we might as well not bother, because you're going to carry on pressing QWERTY keyboards, creating emails like we've always done. And this is our challenge, is we've got to start thinking about what technology enables us to do rather than what we've always done in the past. And there's an easy way of doing this. There's a really easy way about reimagining your world based on what's around you. And here's a little example I like to use. This is where the presentation ends and we now stray into the world of performance art. Who can tell me what this is? Tax disc. Very cool. You're almost awake, which is not bad for a Monday morning. This is not just a tax disc. This is my tax disc for my car. And it replaces a tax disc that expired in October last year. Now, is at this point in the presentation, Microsoft's lawyers would like me to remind you it's still a criminal offence in this country to not display a current tax disc. My car is obviously off the road, ossifer. And the story behind this disc is basically last Christmas, when this was 2 months overdue, I am looking at my kitchen table thinking, wow, first of all, tax discs are really beautiful. If you just look at your tax discs when you get home. They are just absolutely gorgeous pieces of paper. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm thinking, well, why is that on my kitchen table and not in my windscreen? Well, number one, I'm lazy. But number two, the world has changed. We live in a different age. There are no longer a Bobby on the beat or a traffic warden peering in through millions of windscreens every day. Instead, there is a national series of cameras who go against a centralized database in Swansea that DVLA manage. So now, every time I pull in for petrol, drive down the motorway, cross a city boundary, pass a cop car, there is a camera that looks at my license plate, checks it against the database and says, has this guy paid his tax, yes or no? If I have, I will be free to go. If I haven't, I guarantee you I will get my collar felt. And the beautiful ending to this story is the DVLA, who have long been the bastions of digital public service, have said, do you know what? We've got a multi-million-pound printing industry in Swansea dedicated to the creation and curation of these incredible artifacts of our motoring heritage. Why? Why are we spending all of that money? We don't need it anymore. We are in a different place. They haven't done it yet, but they have a consultation underway to say, we believe we live in different times. We believe we can get rid of this. Think about this just for a small second. This goes back to 1921. It's almost 100 years of process. This is the primary process for the DVLA. It's also their single most important source of revenue for what they do. They have the guts, the confidence, to challenge what they do because they think we live in significantly different times. And I want to challenge you all in exactly the same way. When you think about the campaigns that you have, the things that you do for your clients, the things that you do in the way in which you work, I guarantee you, because we live in different times, because we now live in a digital society where most people are engaged with technology, most of the consumers that you're trying to reach have high expectations of how they will engage with your brands and your organizations using technology. What is it that you could do differently, that you no longer have to do because you're going to be afforded the opportunity of living in those new worlds? Then you have to remember that the technology is here to help. This is not the Terminator. The internet is not Skynet. We have to get to a place where we use computers and technology to augment who we are as human beings. Unlike this picture, you'll see this picture pretty much in any local newspaper at any point in the year, usually accompanied by a picture of a lorry or a bus just smacked into a bridge. Interview with the driver. What happened? The sat-nav made me do it. Yeah. We see these examples every day, but I want to give you a story, which is again personal to me, that kind of indicates what the role that technology should play in a modern society. So my son is 7. About a year ago, I had this incredible experience. I was at home, Saturday morning in the Coplin household, wife's upstairs, I'm cooking lunch, because that's the kind of Saturday dad I am. Burgers, chips and peas, I might add. Conversation goes a bit like this, and because I'm looking after my son, wife's busy, son's on the Nintendo DS, obviously. Comes running, Dad, I'm stuck, man, it's Mario and Luigi, partners in time, world level, boss level 5, man, you've got to help. John, I'm busy cooking, right? Burgers, chips, peas. It's complicated for you, Dad. Right. Just be with you in 5 minutes. Because I'm a good dad, 5 minutes turns to 10, 10 minutes turns to 15. I've finally finished, table's laid out. He's gone, disappeared. Jesus. John, where are you? I'm in your office. He's in my office. What's he doing in my office? I go to my office, I catch him red-handed. He's on my computer. He's opened up a web browser. He's gone to a search engine. He's gone to Bing. He knows to go to Bing, otherwise he gets constructively reminded. And he's typed in, Mary and Luigi, partners in time, walkthrough. Now, walkthrough is a website that gives you hints and tips on how to beat the boss level on whatever game you're playing. Now, my wife, she remembers his first steps. She remembers his first words. I ran up the stairs, a little tear in my eye. You're not going to believe what he's just done. He's just formed his first search query. I'm so proud. Because he, as a 6-year-old, right, has sat there and thought, you know what, I've got a problem. And when you're 6 years old, not being able to beat the boss and marry Luigi partners in time is a big problem, right? Mum's busy, Dad's busy, what am I going to do? Technology. Technology will have the answer. He, as a 6-year-old, has used technology to help him become greater than the sum of his parts. And as a dad, especially as a geek dad, I sit there and I thought, that is a beautiful moment for me because it reminds me why I do what I do. My job with technology, your job with what you do with technology as a part of what you do for your clients and your brands, is how can we use technology to extend what humanity is, help people become greater than the sum of their parts. This is the magic, this is the gift of what we do. And fundamentally, it's about empowering people. And whether it's empowering people through technology, empowering people through the campaigns that you do, what is it that you can do to make other people successful? And then finally, just to cap this, because this is a presentation about the future, and I realize we're running slightly late, because we're Microsoft, we have access to all sorts of incredible insight, geniuses from around the world. And we consulted with them, and this is a while ago now, but we got a whole bunch of really, really specialized people who are not constrained with the realms of reality to talk to about, help us understand what could the future hold for us. And just as a special treat for you, we've got that video for you right now.
Cars in the future will be way smarter than cars now because you can select anything. It'll have a computer in it for you, a TV. You don't have to drive the car anymore. It'll do stuff for you. It'll travel faster. You can do anything with it.
Someday the house will be so smart it would know like what you want and what you like.
You would press this button and say what you would like, and then it would automatically come out every time.
Sometimes you wish that, oh, I wish I could have pizza right now. And it would be like, whoosh.
But you gotta speak clearly because you could say, hey, vegetables while coughing, and then something weird will come out, like some sort of weird new alien life form.
Someday they'll make this mirror that would make it look like you're wearing what you want to wear.
I would be a ninja and I could try a million outfits, and one of them would be red, one of them will be dark black, one of them will be light blue.
Someday, robots will help me do whatever I want.
Like if you want to go to Paris, your robot will just like fly you there, express ride, or just teleport you there, and then give you a quick and then like organize all the tours for you and everything, and like help you get used to the jet lag and stuff.
Like they would like clean the room. They would fix the house.
Yeah, because you know, with a little imagination, anything's possible.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we talked a bit about the future. We talked about some of the challenges that we face. I should mention, because my publisher will kill me if I don't, I've just written a book about the future of work that incorporates many of these themes. We've got a deal on at the moment on Amazon. It's a free download for your Kindle, so just search for Me or Business Reimagined. You'll find it there. There, my publisher's happy. So you'll see about the future, you see about the potential about all this stuff we do. So don't do it for us at Microsoft. Don't do it for yourselves or for your clients. If nothing else, live up to the perfection of what the future can offer for the kids, because it's all for the kids. Thanks very much.